So you broached on this. There are some differences in journalism when working with digital products. You talked about coming up with the ideas has a specific route in journalism. What else do you think is different about the product management process for a media company than, say, another type of a software company?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's really interesting about us is that we do have what you would think of as a typical product team. They're very small because they just got started, I think, 2 to 3 years ago at ProPublica. And they think about traditionally things like our site infrastructure, our internal analytics. They build tools that are useful usually to the reporters here, but not for the general public. And then the team that I run, the news apps team, would not think of themselves as a product team, but do things that are very similar to product in the sense that they're coders, right? But they're also usually the generators of the information. So they're either acquiring data themselves or they're also interpreting it or calling experts to figure out, is this a fair way to interpret this information? And I think one big difference for us too is that while we're making what is also a service to the general public, we're also held completely responsible for the information that we give them. And I think that sort of forces us to adopt sort of both a series of ethics around that practice, but also as journalists, sort of professional reputation is on the line, right? It's not just about something, it's not that we have our own service and all the data is naturally true because we own it. It's actually that we need to report out and figure out all this information from the universe somewhere. And oftentimes it says something bad about someone, right? And so that's a dangerous thing to do if you're not sure about your information. And I think a lot of products aren't willing to go there because you don't need to. But that's sort of the mission of all of our work. And so if we can't call out bad actors, then it just doesn't make any sense for us to do it. Because then what is the point for us, right? Like, what change can we make? And so we just have a lot of internal sort of fact checking, bulletproofing, even when it comes to data and software related things that I might guess that a traditional product team might not go into because it's not for the same purpose and the data is not quite the same type.
So it sounds like a lot of different roles in the organization are dealing with different types of product concepts, different ways that they're collaborating on the creation of these products. So, in your role now in leadership, what are some of the skills that you think that you're looking for that you think people need to be developing to work in this environment?
Yeah, so I think that for me, the people who work on the projects on my team, they have obvious technical skills, right? Like they are able to design and code. But ultimately, the thing, and I think I've said this for many years in every aspect of what we do, which is the thing that we often look for the most is sort of critical thinking skills, right? What you really need people to do is to be able to say, oh, that doesn't quite look right. But I'm not, my answer is I'm not going to design around it. I'm not going to code around it. I need to figure out why that's the case and make sure that we either need to pivot what we're doing to adapt to it because it's a big deal, right? It's something we need to address. Or, oh, actually, that was a data error. We fixed it now. We can move on. And we need people to be able to really analyze and synthesize that information so that we know how to move forward. And it's sort of like everybody involved in the process needs to be able to do this. It's not just the editor's job because there's no way that I could know all the like little small details that go into a project. And so it's sort of a shared responsibility, and we really need people to be sort of skeptical of things and then be able to critically think about them.
I mean, just about every guest speaker I've had in this realm with my students has expressed a similar type of need. The students think the hard part is the coding and the actual creation of these applications, but everybody says it's the communication and it's the journalism and it's the critical thinking that
Mm.
is the hardest part or the part that they have the hardest trouble filling. And
Yeah.
so, that's why for the longest time I've thought that communication students it's a great opportunity for them. They can learn the code as long as they have the perspective of what they are trying to create and the stories that they're trying to tell, right?
Yeah, I think that's totally right because there's a reason why on my team we don't hire people directly out of school with computer science skills and that's it, right? We just don't expect people with only those skills to be able to do this job. Um, And for us, I would say out of the 7 news apps developers now, if you include me, that's 8. Um, 2 people majored in something that was programming related. Um, but one of them, who's Mike Tigas, who went to Missouri, also majored in journalism. And then the other one on my team right now, Layla Youngs, she sort of discovered journalism late and then spent a year basically being a local reporter before she was hired here. And so you really need to, I mean, the coding stuff is helpful, right? Like you need to be able to do that to execute your vision and your dream for a project. But there are also people who just want to be told what to code, right? And those are people who cannot do this job.
I've often said that there are problems in every discipline when you look at the academy that can be solved with technology. And we need people in all those disciplines solving the problems, not giving that responsibility solely to computer science or to a more technical discipline. So all those well-rounded skills need to be happening across the university and across different functions and organizations.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate your time. This has been really good insight on the role of product in storytelling. And thanks for talking with me.
Yeah, thank you. This was great. And I hope the students, get a lot out of it.